that brings us then to this final event here, eternity, Revelation 21 and 22. Oh, by the way, this star here is that's the resurrection of the unsaved dead. So what you have over the course of this chart then is you have this resurrection here is at the rapture. These are the dead believers of all time. This resurrection here are the saints, the Christians who got killed in the tribulation. Then 1,000 years later, you have the resurrection of all the unsaved dead of all time, whether they got killed at the end of the tribulation or whether they got killed way back in Genesis chapter 3 or 4. So that's those three resurrections. Then you have eternity. All right, so what's eternity going to be like? It's one of the best parts, in my opinion, it's one of the best parts of the study when we get to see what heaven is actually going to be like. There will be in heaven, by the way, the millennial kingdom, great conditions, but it's not heaven. As you remember, I read this just a moment ago in Revelation 20, we read about the heaven and earth fled away. We saw the uncreation of the old world. Revelation 21 starts out with John saying, then I saw a new heaven and a new earth. So in the new heaven and the new earth, what are we going to see? Well, there's going to be a new Jerusalem. New Jerusalem turns out to be a 1,500 mile cube that will hover over the earth. 1,500 miles wide, high, and deep. It's just a tremendous sphere. If it's not, I guess it's not technically a sphere. It'd be probably a giant box. 1,500 mile cube. 1,500. Yeah, a cube that's 1,500 miles in every direction. But that's not the whole universe. That's just the New Jerusalem. Then you'll have the earth, I believe, restored back to what it was in the Garden of Eden. You could look at it this way. In the Garden of Eden, God created this masterpiece. I mean, it was perfect and beautiful. Satan came and introduced sin. And not only did Adam and Eve fall, but the universe itself fell and was completely corrupted. And some parts of this world today are stunningly beautiful, but they're not what they once were. That's what we've got to kind of drink in. In heaven will be this earth with all the sin removed. The Old Testament saints weren't thinking of living on a new earth because that's all they could imagine. They were thinking of living on a new earth because that's what they've been told. And I will show you scriptures for that. So Revelation 21 and 22 is all the judgments are over. Everything is going to be perfect from that point forward. It's a story almost too good to be true, but it is because it's in the Bible. Okay, so that's the chart. And we will cover more. We will cover all of these events in greater detail. What I'm telling you is that if you understand this chart, you've got a good sense of what's ahead, and you probably know more than 98% of the Christians that you'll run into.